This is the Project Management Podcast. We bring project management topics to beginners and experts. Find us on the web at www.thepmpodcast.com or send your emails to pmpodcast@gmail.com.
Hello and welcome to episode number 82. I am Cornelius Fichtner. This is the Project Management Podcast for the 2nd of December 2007. Nice to have you with us. Wait a minute. What's that on your back there? Could that be a monkey? In the course of our working days, all of us acquire duties, chores and tasks. Some of them are important and we need to address them so that we can finish our deliverables. Others we have to consider them as monkeys. Tasks that we somehow got stuck with and now we don't seem to be able to get rid of them, even though we might not be the right person to take care of them. Of course, we all wonder, how did I get stuck with this? Mike Grobner, he's a PMP, and he describes to us today the techniques that he uses to address the monkeys in his life. We talk about monkey management in general, and we also talk about how this translates into managing the monkeys on your projects. This week again, if you listen closely, you can hear that I am still using one of the old microphones. The new microphones have been ordered and they are on their way. So in our next episode, we will once again have the good, clear, wonderful sound that you have gotten used to here on the Project Management Podcast. And because the microphones aren't here yet, there will also be no helpful resources today. Because frankly, I don't want you to have to listen to this bad microphone quality here for any longer that you really have to listen to. And this is then the moment when I have to say thank you to a very special listener. His name is Joel Alex Scherer, and he is from St. Louis in Missouri in the United States of America. And Joel sent us the absolutely largest donation that we have received so far. Thank you very much, Joel. And thanks to you, the donations that we have received from all of our listeners to replace our stolen equipment has shot up by a whole 50%. Thank you very much. Now, if all you other listeners out there would also like to support the Project Management Podcast, then you can now do so by subscribing to our new premium version. If you go to our website, you will see that we now offer the Premium Project Management Podcast at $3 per month. This $3 premium subscription is an inexpensive way in which you can choose to support this program financially. For now, both the free version and the premium version have exactly the same content, but in 2008 we will be adding special episodes and project management related giveaways that will only be available to our premium listeners. And just to be absolutely clear, the Project Management Podcast in its current form is free and it will continue to be free. The premium version is for those among you who want to show your support through a small paid subscription. And finally, we are continuing to give away 3 more copies of Gerard Hill's book, The Complete Project Management Office Handbook 2nd Edition. The first drawing was last weekend, and Patrick Richard from Laval in Canada is the lucky winner. On the coming 3 weekends, we will continue to draw 1 book. To participate, all you have to do is send an email to pmpodcast@gmail.com with the subject PMO and your name, town and country in the body. I personally guarantee that your email address will not be used for anything but your participation in this contest. Oh, and by the way, when you send 1 email today, that's good for the next 3 weeks. So you only have to enter once and you have 3 chances to win. And now let's head right into our main topic, which is the discussion on monkey management for project teams with Mike Grobner. Mike Grobner, PMP, is a project manager and noted presenter on project management subjects. He has presented project management topics for the PMI San Diego, Orange County, and Los Angeles chapter, as well as for the Southern California Coalition of Technology Conference. In past lives, Mr. Gropner has held various project management positions in technology projects. These include commercial, military and space qualified systems, GPS systems, secure communications, as well as database and data warehouse systems. He has served as a field engineer, project engineer, test engineer, systems engineer, project manager, and director of implementation services. Currently, he is employed at Prescription Solutions, which is a United Healthcare company, as a project manager in their PMO. He currently leads an IS governance, SOX, and internal audit liaison and infrastructure upgrade project. Since 2003, he also serves as the PMI Orange County PMP Preparations Committee chairperson, and in this function he is assisting hundreds of project managers each year to prepare and successfully obtain their PMP certification. If you would like to contact him, please write to Mike Gropner at marley.com. During the interview, Mike and I are referring to a monkey management presentation. This presentation is available on our website for download, and those of you who are subscribed to the podcast via iTunes or another podcatcher software, for you, it should have downloaded automatically. So, without further ado, enjoy the interview with Mike Gropner.
The Project Management Podcasts feature interview.
Today, with Mike Gropner, PMP, project manager and noted presenter on project management subjects.
Hello, Mike, and welcome to the program.
Thank you.
We are here at the Holiday Inn in Laguna Hills, where the PMI-OC, of which we're both members, holds their PMP workshops, and we're going to talk about monkey management for project teams. Now, that's the title of a presentation that you gave at this year's SCCTC conference in Long Beach. The first question that I have for you is, of course, what's a monkey?
Well, a monkey is a metaphor, and it really was highlighted in the early 70s through an article in the Harvard Business Review. And the idea behind a monkey is it's a problem or an issue, and it stems from a book called Managing Management Time. And managers never have enough time, and this gentleman who wrote the book talked about the fact that people were working on the wrong things, and they weren't focused on really doing management. So as project managers, we have project teams that come in and say, oh, I've got this problem, I've got that problem. And the metaphor is a monkey. And it was actually introduced to me by my current boss about 2 years ago. And since then, I've sort of built this, and I've integrated other things into the process.
Let's just take a quick step back and go a little bit more into the definition of the monkey, because we have people from all over the world, and not everyone may be familiar with the English expression, probably American English expression, that is having a monkey on your back. And the expression means to have a persistent or annoying problem or burden. And according to one dictionary, the term probably came from an old Sinbad story about a nerve-wracking monkey-like creature that mounts onto a man's shoulder and just will not get off. And the having a monkey on your back now means that there's just a problem that you cannot get rid of. So what concepts are then at the heart of monkey management?
The two concepts are really working on the right issues in the right order, and not working issues that are either not part of your problem or are not important. So in other words, there's a lot of people that come in and say, I have this problem. Well, just because they have this problem isn't necessarily means that you have to solve it. Now, I'm not saying that, you don't take any problems, but you consciously take the problems that you can afford to work on, and you work on them in the priority and the sense of urgency and importance so that you get the most important things done first.
So it's not the same thing as the old expression, doing the right things versus doing things right. It is a completely different approach. You look at the things that are given to you and decide, is this even something that I'm supposed to be doing?
Well, there are a lot of things that we have given in our life that are either they classify as not important, not urgent. There's something that I'd like to write a book, okay, and it becomes a not urgent. In other words, I'm not going to get fired tomorrow if I don't write the book. And on the sense of importance, things like weddings and children growing up and all of that get in the way. And so monkey management really says, okay, how important is this monkey, and do I want to put it, where do I want to put it in my life so that I can end up at the right point in time?
So then, where do the monkeys come from? How do you end up with them on your own back? And give us a little bit of an overview of the complete monkey management philosophy.
Well, the nice thing is that there are plenty of people in your life that are willing to supply you with the monkeys. So if you're shy a few monkeys, my recommendation is join a local PMI chapter, and you'll find 1,500 other people that will be more than willing to tell you how you should manage your projects. So monkeys come from bosses, coworkers, project team members, mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, firemen, the lady you meet at the grocery store, all sorts of different things. So you really have to say, okay, I can't save the whole world, so what's important for me to do and what's important for me to accomplish? When we're talking about a project management, it often is the project team, or it is events that are in your life that are affecting your ability to manage the project team.
So what then? If there are so many people out there who are perfectly willing to give you all these monkeys, how do you avoid getting all of them?
The point of this is you don't have to accept all of these problems. Okay. You can. I'll give you a story. Last February I went to a SOX boot camp put on by the corporation. And while I was there, I had talked to before I'd left, I talked to this one project manager about monkeys and the concept. And I collect monkeys, and I have about 20, 30 monkeys on my desk to remind me about monkey management.
Oh, you mean actual monkeys?
Stuffed monkeys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I do. And when I give this presentation, I actually bring them with me, and I pull them out and I put them on my back, and we have a lot of fun. So I get this email. I was snowed in Minnesota. If people don't know, we're in California, beautiful weather and stuff like that. And I plugged into the corporate network, and I got this email, and she said, I saw this monkey on your desk, and I had to borrow him because I was having a particularly bad day. And my reply to her was, well, if there was a monkey in my office and it jumped on your back, it's now your monkey. So the point being is that we have people giving us opportunities to collect monkeys. And have you ever seen that one person who will grab onto some issue, and then the analogy that a coworker gave me about another coworker is that they see a shiny butterfly and they chase the butterfly over a cliff. And that's the thing I see is that there are people that work on things that really don't need to be worked on. I will tell you that in the original story about the woman that took the monkey from my office, I just talked to her yesterday, and I said, okay, now it's been almost a year. What has it done for you? And she says, well, it's probably given me back 30% of my workday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and by the way, that 30% number, interesting enough, was also repeated by somebody else in one of my seminars. So if you're trying to save the world, this may allow you to identify 30% of your day that really you're working on for no apparent reason.
Wow. Wow. When we originally spoke about monkey management, you mentioned that these tools, techniques, concepts that you have in this presentation would also help me personally quite a bit to manage my monkeys. Why would you say that we have all these monkeys? Let's start with that.
Well,
is it the fact that project managers just cannot say no?
Well, first of all, your monkey is not my monkey. So,
okay, yeah.
so how many monkeys you have, it's really inappropriate for me to say that. But what I really probably said in very poor and direct terms was that there's a lot of things that you do that I wonder if you looked at it through this perspective, you would do. I think what we should do is sort of tell the readers a little bit about you, because I don't know if they know, is actually in PMI you're the president of the local chapter.
Yeah, mentioned it a couple of times, yeah.
And it's an award-winning chapter. There's over 1,500 people. And when you have 1,500 project managers together, you've got about 40,000 different opinions and activities in that.
Yes.
So not only are you doing the podcast, not only you're working full-time as a very successful project manager, but you're doing the PMI and stuff like that. So the interchange that we had was I was getting ready for work one morning. It was a Friday morning, and I was to speak at this conference on Saturday. And you had called me up, and we had run into a situation where the conference was starting at 9, and we were missing a couple of projectors.
Oh, yeah, that was the story with the missing projectors.
Right.
Yes.
So I get this call from you that says, I know you have a projector of the chapters, and could you run it up to Long Beach, which in my case is about 20 miles up the freeway. It's an easy freeway drive. And so I had to think of a couple of things. First of all is I know that monkey was not originally on your back, because I know that as president of the PMI chapter, you're not in charge of making projectors show up at the right place. But that monkey jumped on your back. And you offered me the opportunity for me to add a monkey to my back. So I thought about it, and quite frankly, I thought about three things. First of all, I was on the nominating committee that nominated you for this for the president of the chapter, and so I have a little bit of guilt there. And I've known you for several years, and you've done a really good job. So this was an opportunity, and also I work for a company that is very supportive of PMI, and so if I was an hour late, there would be no real issues. So I said, yes, I'll take this monkey off your back. And so I ran it up there, and everything worked out well. But the point being is people give you opportunities that will cause you stress. And if you think about, okay, well, can I really accept this monkey before you get into, oh my God, how am I going to solve this problem? So this monkey management is really about inserting a process of accepting issues or actions before you just jump in and try to do it.
So do you have any recommendations then about what to do if someone like I did to you is trying to hand you a monkey?
Well, we have two things in our presentation that we talk about. We talk about what we call the magic quadrant, and we separate out things into 4 quadrants. We have urgent and not urgent, and important and not important. So tasks end up into urgent and important, not urgent but not important, and not urgent and not important.
That's probably the category that you're going to get rid of right away.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that later on. But that helps us to say, okay, let's prioritize that. But there's also levels of importance and stuff like that. So we also have a technique that I think we'll talk about just a little bit later about understanding the value and leveraging of your time. And the idea being is the concept is stuff that I give to myself that is going to help us in the next 2 years. and it affects the executive time, is probably the most valuable time that I can spend doing whatever. Okay? The stuff that I do for one of my project team members because they forgot their password, well, it might be important. It's not of very high value. So, can I solve that problem? Yes. Is there other people out there to solve the problem, like the help desk? Yes. So, in that case, it's understanding that maybe an urgent and important monkey, but it's not my monkey. It's the help desk monkey. Call the help desk and let them know. So I can get back to running my project and making sure that I'm working on next week's problems and next month's problems and next year's problems. Mm-hmm. So it's about the value of what you're doing.
Yes, you already mentioned it. In the presentation, you propose a system that allows you to manage these monkeys and by understanding the value. So let's get into this, right?
Okay.
And you bring inputs, leverage, and outputs into the picture. Tell us about the whole method and how it is done.
Okay, let me just go to the
appropriate slide. And by the way, yes, the presentation that Mike and I are using here is available, and we are now on what slide would that be?
We're going to talk a little bit about slide 23.
23. Let me. Okay,
and this is a little bit surprising. Is on our inputs. We talk about 3 types of inputs. We talk where your boss comes to you and say, I need you to do this. Okay? We're going to talk about things that are system imposed, like filling out your timesheet. I was at work at 7 p.m. yesterday, and before I could leave, I had to fill out my time slip. So that's a system imposed input. And then self-imposed. Those are the things that where, as a project manager, saying, these are the things I need to get the project done in that. And then we assign a value to them, 3 being the highest value and 1 being the lowest. Now, what you'll see on the presentation is the boss coming and telling you to do something is the lowest value. And it's like, what, Mike?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. That'll get me fired. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying that if your boss had to tell you to do something, you are obviously not anticipating their needs.
Okay.
Or
they're giving you their monkeys.
They may be giving you their monkeys, but again, if they're giving you their monkeys, it's probably one of those things that are going to sabotage you for getting your project done. Mm-hmm. So you have to understand that while they may be important and they may be urgent, is in the ultimate scheme of things, if your boss is consistently coming in and giving you things to do, then you're not a manager, you're a worker. Okay? So you want to get out of that. And all this is understanding, all I'm trying to do is at this point is understanding the value of work. Okay? You are going to do things urgently of low value. Okay? You may even slip into the urgent and not important category because your boss really gave you something.
Right.
Okay,
so we have these 3 inputs, boss imposed, lowest value, system imposed, middle value, and self-imposed, highest value.
Right. So now the next thing is leverage. Okay, as a project manager, if I'm working on a problem, helping an employee solve a problem, that's the lowest value. If I'm working on supervisory time, things like, performance reviews and that's the middle value. And if I'm doing something that's going to affect the executives, if the executives can make better decisions or figure out, make their life easier, that's probably, when we talk about leverage, it's about saying, well, gee, if I can work on those things, that's going to make the biggest difference for everybody.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then the output is when we call stabilizing time. It's stuff that usually is associated with the system imposed. It's just the stuff you have to do on a day-to-day basis. You're required. Project status reports. That's never saved the world by creating a project, or meeting minutes is my favorite stabilizing time. It's something that everybody says we have to do.
Yes.
But nobody can explain to me the value of meeting minutes. So the next one is corrective time. We have a problem, the process broke down, and we need to fix it. Okay, so that's a moderate value on the output. And the progressive time is creating new process improvements, those type of things. So let me give you an example, is my activity on doing the timesheet Friday before I left. Well, it was really, it was both boss imposed and system imposed. So the first one is a 2. It's really employee time because at that point I'm acting as an employee, so that gives it a 1. Mm-hmm. And it's really stabilizing. It's just doing what you have to do. So it only has a value of 4.
Oh, you add them up. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I could do something, identify something that would help my executive, in other words, I have a meeting with our CIO Monday night. So from 4 to 6 p.m. or 4 to 7 p.m., what I was actually doing was preparing for the CIO so that I could present the information in a very effective manner to him.
Right.
And this is going to help us in 2008 and 2009. So that would have been a value of a 333.
Yeah, self-imposed, it's executive time, and you have progressive time. You're planning forward into the future, 333.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So does that make sense?
It makes sense, yes.
So all this says is you've got high value and low value tasks that you've got to get done. But quite frankly, I would rather get in trouble for not turning my timesheet in than get in trouble for not being prepared for the CIO.
Understood.
And by the way, my boss was it's the meeting with my boss and the CIO. So the idea being is put the things, and then there were a whole bunch of tasks that I had to do after I did my time slip, but they were both not urgent and not important, and so I went home.
So you saw that these monkeys, don't have to do them.
Right. Until they become urgent, well, first of all, until they become important, I'm not going to work on them.
Yeah.
And if they're urgent, I work on them when I get in the morning at 8 o'clock.
Okay. Now, how does this translate over into project management?
So the idea being is, I'll give you another example. I like to talk with stories that I've done. Is when I first started at the company, I had to give training on processes and process improvements, and I had about 15 developers in the room, and we tried to hook up the projector, and the cord was broken, and all of this. And since this affected my self-worth and ego, and I think I'm known for my ego, I went to my boss and I said, this won't happen again. We need to have our own projector. So he approved, and we bought our projector. Well, unfortunately, it came with a monkey. Is who's going to manage the projector?
Of course, yes.
So I talked to the admin, and she said, that's a beautiful monkey, but I don't think I can feed it properly. I think you need to manage your own monkey. So I kept this, and I managed this, and I created a sign-out sheet and all of that. And then I got yelled at because other project managers took the projector, and it didn't have a power cord or whatever because somebody didn't return it. And one day, the executive assistant to the CIO needed a projector, and I said, "Oh yeah, we have one. How about this? I know you're running around, and this is a big problem for you. So why don't I let you manage the projector monkey?" And she said, "Oh, that would be great. That would make my life so much easier." Now, having done projector monkey management for a year, I'm not sure it would have made her life easier. It would just changed the problems. So she took it over, and of course, the same situations. People took it without reserving it. People didn't put back the cords and that. And one of my fellow project managers came to me and said, this isn't really working out for me. So what she really was saying is, gee, Mike, that monkey you gave over there, I really didn't think that was I want to give it back to you. And I said, thank you very much for your input. But let me understand how this is impacting you, because quite frankly, it's not impacting me because I don't need the projector anymore.
Yeah. And
she went on to say of how it prevents her from being viewed professionally, and there's times where she scheduled a meeting and the projector wasn't there and she had to run around and all that. I said, well, that sounds really important. So now what we've done there is we've established ownership. Is the monkey mismanagement, the mismanaged projector monkey, is really her monkey, not mine.
Yes.
And so then I said, well, what if you did this? What if you bought another projector? Have you talked to the admin? You know, and tried to give her suggestions. So in other words, I'm not necessarily, you know,
you're not offering to take the monkey back.
But I'm not saying, hey, this is your problem, go away. I got a status report to write. I'm behind on my meeting minutes. So the idea being is don't take monkeys that really aren't yours. You know, if it's not affecting the way I do a job, I could be noble, you know, get on, pull out my white horse, get my armor on and become the knight in shining armor. But the truth of the matter is this is a big person. They can solve their own problems. So the idea being is don't accept monkeys that aren't yours. And also, when you do own a monkey, make sure you understand that you're taking on a monkey and the value of the monkey and the priority and importance of the monkey.
Am I, as a project manager, responsible to ensure that my project team members accept the right monkeys and get rid of the wrong monkeys?
Well, I would say in a perfect world that would be wonderful, but what I find is the reason why I have this presentation is I view my role as project manager with a big amount of mentoring and personal development. Now, some people will take a look at this presentation and say, wow, this is really cool, and I can use this. Other people will say, oh, well, you know, he just likes to talk, and he's got, you know, he's the crazy one with all the monkeys in his cubicle. So I can present people on my project team with the concepts, and I can suggest them. But I would have to say that only people that are willing to change will change. You know, it's like, you know, how many psychiatrists does it take to change a light bulb? None. The light bulb has to want to change. So this is one of those things. Is I would say no. You're not responsible for managing the monkeys of the project teams. It always is a personal responsibility.
Okay, but then what about those monkeys that happen on your project? You know, you have this project meeting and there is a glaring issue, right? Mm-hmm. And it's quite clear that everyone sort of, it's the what is it called? The white elephant in the room, right?
Right.
He talks about it, but there is a problem. How should you address those kind of things from a monkey management point of view?
Well, let me give you the example of business requirements on a project.
Yes.
Okay. And the white elephant is we need business requirements.
Yes, we usually do.
Right. So, but also nobody's really excited about writing them.
Yeah.
So you can go in and you can say, we need business requirements. And so what you're saying is I have a monkey and I'm looking for some sucker to put it on their back. Or you can say, I don't know, I'm confused. Do we have a monkey here? I'm confused. Do we need business requirements? Mm-hmm. You could get people to talk about it. With the process of talking about it, first of all, they acknowledge there is a monkey. And then your next question would be, okay, maybe I'm not quite sure here. Who should be writing business requirements? You know, and there would be this muttering and talking, and everybody would express opinion. And then you can say, okay, well, I understand that, basically the subject matter expert, based on our conversation, is the subject matter expert is the business itself. Business, do you agree? And probably the answer is, well, yeah, I guess so. So, would you agree that the requirements is your responsibility? Now, that monkey just jumped on the business, Because if they say no, then you say, well, who should do it?
Okay.
So those are the type of techniques that once you understand the monkey, And I really, when I see these problems and I'm using these techniques, I actually visualize it as a monkey.
Oh, you see an actual monkey?
Yes.
Interesting. Well, you have enough of those on your desk. So.
Well, I have enough of them on my back, and I do have to admit that I do on occasion take on monkeys that an hour or two later I'll think, they tricked me into taking that monkey.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's see how you, Mike Grotner, are doing this. How have you personally employed monkey management in your life, on your projects? How has it improved your day-to-day activities? How do you do it?
Well, okay, you asked two questions. So
yeah,
let's do the first one, or the one that I think is most important is, what does this do for me? Okay. And when I gave the presentation, I asked about stress level. And let me ask you, on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your stress level in your life?
About an 8.
Okay. Mine's about a 3.
Okay.
So first of all, I asked, and we had about 50 people in the room, and I asked, how many people have a stress level of 3 or less? And myself and another person raised their hand. I said a 5, and I got a few more hands. 8, I got about 80% of the room. And then I asked 11, and I got about five people that raised their hands. So the point being is, the interesting part was a friend of ours was the other person who said that he has about a 3 in his life. And he happens to be a project manager that is dedicated to be a contract project manager that goes from contract to contract. And he says, look, I'm a contractor. Okay, I'm a high-paid contractor. If you want me to sweep the floor, I'll sweep the floor as long as I get paid. And so his stress is very low. I am an employee, but I consider myself an independent business person. Okay, so I clearly have enough work in any day that if I spent 80 to 100 hours in a day, I couldn't get it all done. Okay? But I take a step back and I say, okay, what monkeys are urgent and important? What are going to kill us? I often get involved in conversations where I liken it to the Titanic is sinking, and somebody wants to stop and talk about the colors of the handrails and that they should be repainted. You know? So one of the things I try to do by using the monkey management techniques is say, that's an excellent idea, but that's really phase 2 in the project. Let's only talk about the things that we're here to talk about. So that's that, and I think what you find is when you question all of the things you're taking on, you will find that if you're typical, you find that 30% of your day is doing things that never get done and that have no value. Let me give you an example. How many times have you worried about the periods at the end of all of the PowerPoint slides? You either have them all or you don't have them all, right?
Yes.
In my presentation, I have a slide.
When I saw that one the first time, I thought, oh my God, it's totally misspelled.
Right. But find that slide.
Yeah.
And I want you to read it to the listeners.
Yeah,
it's on page 16.
16. Here we go. Okay. The heading is Keustoin, whose menkoi is tis, if my agneda is communications, is spelling my McConkey. Or something like that. And
what did you figure out?
I understood everything you said, but it's totally spelled wrong.
Right. So the question, whose monkey is this? If my agenda is communication, is spelling my monkey. And I used a technique that I ran across where if the first letter and the last letter is in the correct position, most people can read misspelled. Now, I'm not advocating that my presentation to the CIO on Monday night has any spelling errors. But the point I'm trying to make is good enough is good enough. You don't win points on perfect. Okay? So in this slide, I did what I thought. I said, this is a practice as you preach. How many people would be willing to get up and have a slide with every word misspelled?
Probably not many.
Right. So do you think I'm terrible? Am I a terrible person and a terrible project manager because I had a slide with spelling errors in it?
Probably not.
Right.
No.
So should I have stayed an extra 10 hours and thought about the color of blue that I'm using, or whether all of the sentences end with a period or not, or they're all the same font or stuff like that?
No, I think what you did is you chose your monkey.
I delivered. I have a personal quality statement. I actually like the previous PMBOK, where they defined quality as meeting stated or implied needs. So my goal is to deliver something that meets stated or implied needs.
Yeah, what is it now? Conformance to requirements?
I don't know if I think they took out the definition and they let you define it yourself.
Oh, okay.
But the idea being is it good enough? Can you get it done? Is it more important to get this one done perfectly or deliver two other stuff? Personally, I don't do meeting minutes. I use an issue log because the meeting minutes tend to get dropped and forgotten about, but the issue log goes time for time. Do I get criticized for it? Yes. I don't do meeting minutes. Do I end up being one of the top project managers where I work? Yes. So, I don't take the meeting minute monkey on my back because it's not urgent.
It has
no
value. It's a 111.
It's a 111.
Yeah. On that note, in closing, why don't you give our listeners a recipe for monkey success? What are the first 3, maybe 4 steps that you can think of that someone should take in order to begin tackling their monkeys?
Well, step 1 is you got to identify that it is a monkey, and you gotta get the ownership agreed to. Okay. Mm-hmm. Step 2 is you've got to understand the value. You got to understand the input, the leverage, and the output. Best tasks are self-imposed assignment of monkey classes or creating process that will have long-term, multi-year effect. Example would be developing the team to be self-sufficient. Mm-hmm. So in other words, one of the most valuable things I can do as a project manager to my team is to make sure they understand monkey management. Because what it's going to do is a lot of wasted work. As much as 30% of your project labor is going to be invested on things that are either not urgent, not important, and have no value. Now, probably not in your project teams, right?
No,
never. And not on mine. Everybody loves me and thinks I'm brilliant. And the last step is understand the difference on urgency and importance.
Okay.
Understand, let's go back to the projector. If we had competent presenters, the fact that the projector was there or not should not have mattered, because the presenter, when I go and present, I have a thumb drive, I have a CD of the presentation, I have a laptop, copy, and I have a backup.
Absolutely.
So the point is it's when I speak, the monkey of being prepared and accounting for the emergencies, the risks that I want to manage is my monkey. And so I manage that so that when I come and the projector doesn't work, oh, okay.
Wonderful.
I have handouts. We'll do this old school.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you very much for the discussion so far about monkey management. And of course, I wanted to mention again that the presentation that Mike and I have referred to is available. through the website, and we will also put it into the RSS feed. So if you're using any form of a podcatcher, iTunes, or whatever it is you're using, the presentation should already have downloaded to your computer. And of course, Mike mentioned this before we started the interview. If there's anyone out there who would like him to stop by at his company or her company to give a presentation about monkey management, then Mike is available to do that. Right?
I am, but I also will point out that my presentations are never copyrighted, and plagiarism is encouraged. I'm much more interested in helping people increase their project successfulness rather than trying to get into a useless negotiation for copyright fees. So feel free. The books that were used to create this presentation are referenced in the presentation, and they're available at www.pm-mind.com under the content section.
All right, I'll put that link onto our website. Make sure that people can find that. All right, so that was part one. We always finish our interviews with the same 10 final questions. Are you ready for those?
I think I'm ready for those.
Wonderful. Question number one. What was your favorite project?
The hardest ones are my favorite project.
The hardest ones are your favorite.
My current favorite project was a project that the state of California asked 160 people to bid on. It ended up being a $9 million project where we were a subcontractor on. Out of the 150, 60 people that were asked to bid, we were the only person that bid. And the rest of the people didn't bid because it was high risk. One of the entry points on the project is you had to sign a form that said it was a non-negotiation form. If you were taken hostage in a prison, they would not negotiate for your life. So that was actually a great project because it was so difficult and there were so many changes. I will tell you that it was a 2-year project, and I have to admit, embarrassingly, that we were 2 weeks late.
Oops.
But I, as all project managers, I want to whine is that the prison lost power, and so they kicked us out, and we had to come back 2 weeks. We were ready, and we would have delivered on time, but the prison lost power. And one might understand that selling off a system or keeping a prison secure, their monkey's priority was higher than mine. So
understandable.
Yep.
Number two, what project would you like to have managed?
We have a project going on right now where we're rewriting critical business application that will process somewhere between probably $6 and eventually maybe $40 or $50 billion worth of business, and that would be an interesting project.
Number three, what is your favorite project management book?
You know what? I'd have to say that I keep going back to the Pinball Guide.
Really?
I read the second edition. I actually read that about 17 times, and every time I read it, I got something out of it. I got something more about how things are connected together and the relationship. It was a terrible read. It was the most painful book I've ever read in my life, but it was also probably the one that I could get the most knowledge out of.
Number four, what is the topic of the next seminar that you're planning to attend? Or if you're giving one yourself as well?
The next one I'd like to see is agile project management. I'd like to, there's some extreme project management, agile project management. I'd like to understand some of that. I'm a little bit skeptical on some of these new project management methodologies, but when I go through and I investigate these, I always walk away with some gems.
Number five, what is the best way to make a project fail?
I think I've got the perfect answer for that. Just ignore the culture and the project sponsor's real goals.
Number six, how do you like to celebrate a successful project?
More projects.
More projects. Interesting. Number seven, in your projects, where do you focus most of your attention in order to be successful?
I would say the two things that I think are the most critical things is, first of all, communication. And second of all is team development. You've got to get that team working together. And most of the time that I've run across projects, is the single most valuable thing is to get everybody to play nice in the sandbox.
Number 8, if you weren't a project manager, what would you like to be?
Beach bum.
Number 9, what is the one thing that a project manager cannot live without?
A sense of humor.
And finally, number 10, the oldest question in project management. What is more important in a project manager? Project management expertise or industry expertise?
The most important thing is knowing that you have to answer that industry expertise, even though that you know that project management skills are more important. Don't swim upstream on non-important issues. Give them what they want to hear. What does it matter? It's neither urgent or important.
All right. Thank you very much for having been on the program today. I enjoyed myself and learned something.
I was honored to be asked, and thanks for the invitation. Also, thank you for investing your heart and soul in the podcast concept of improving project management worldwide. I think that's to be commended.
And that was our interview with Mike Grobner on monkey management. Let me remind you that you can find a link to the book that Mike recommended on the books section of our website. There you will find, in fact, all the books that our interview guests have recommended. That's it for today. Thank you very much for listening. As always, you can find us on the web at thepmpodcast.com. And if you are a project manager who wants to become a PMP, then you can visit pmprepcast.com. In our sister podcast, we teach you concepts, tools, and techniques that you need to know in order to pass the PMP exam. Please send your emails to pmpodcast@gmail.com. And when you write, please tell me where in the world you are writing from. And finally, we have this. I saw this story yesterday in an article by George Pitagorski, where he writes about projects in trouble. Here's the story. Some years ago, a project manager was leaving a project that was in unacknowledged trouble. In the transition time with his successor, he gave the successor 3 numbered envelopes and told him to open the envelopes, one at a time, whenever he felt the need for some advice. Later on, after an initial analysis of the project, the new project manager was in need of advice, so he opened the first envelope. In the first envelope was a note that said, "Blame your predecessor." So the new guy did just that and blamed his predecessor, which bought him some time to get things straightened out so that work could continue. After a while, problems came back, and it was time to open the second envelope. Its contents said, "Reorganize." Great idea, thought the project manager. Reorganizing sends up a cloud of dust that obscures the problem. More time to deny the reality of the project's health is available. But unfortunately, after some more time and some more effort and some more money, once again it was time to open up an envelope. The third envelope contained the following note: "Make up 3 envelopes." Until next time.